launched on Thursday or not, very, very shortly thereafter. It's all about providing access to higher education for otherwise unable Nigerians with sort of that don't have the ability otherwise. Now there will be a loans board. I think that is what it is called in other places.
Yes.
Yes, in other places. So, give me your overview of it. And I say this because whereas it sounds like a good thing, and it is, I can say, a good thing, but one does hear students or former students who haven't taken advantage of the loan in other areas, in other countries, complaining that, you see, because the word loan is oftentimes missed out in the whole excitement. It is a loan that must be repaid. So with that in mind, what do you think about the Nigerian version of it?
Yeah, good morning once more, and thank you for bringing me in here.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, you see, this student loan, let us just be using the word student loan.
Quite.
It's a very laudable program.
Mm-hmm.
You see, it started around June 2023.
That's right.
And the president is vehemently very interested in giving out this loan. Though January, they wanted to launch it.
Yes.
It was postponed again to February, I think,
right.
21st.
That's right.
And with all the indicators right now, there is proof that it may.
It may. It's imminent.
In quote.
The launch is imminent.
Yes, that it may happen this week, Thursday. From every feelers, except something otherwise happened, it may be launched this Thursday. From the interview we watched on televisions, the special advisor on media and publicity to the president did say that this Thursday,
yes,
it will be launched.
And
yesterday, while the president was, commissioning something in Niger State, I think there is a mention of this student loan.
Yes, and that it is being fine-tuned as we speak.
The fine-tuning actually, with what I'm saying or hearing, is to make sure everything, because it's technically driven. Any student who is going to be a beneficiary of it will be given every details, and his details will just be there. There is no way of removing somebody's name, replacing it with someone's name and the rest. It's a very laudable program to us because we never witnessed such. If this time around, the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in his magnanimity, decided to launch this, to bring this out, so many students will be beneficiaries.
Indeed.
You see, most of the problems in Nigerian university, this upheaval here and there, student unrest here and there, is as a result of some students' inability to pay their school fees. And if they cannot pay their school fees, so many other things follows. During exam, they discover that some people are writing exam, clear to write exam, and themselves are in that same department, but they are not able to pay the money, and as a result of that, they are not allowed to write the exam. It creates a sense of emotional instability. In this way, they will want to create a problem to make sure the exam is shifted somehow, and then they will indirectly be negative beneficiary of the shift. So the student loan
is a laudable
idea,
as you said.
Well,
we have been joined by Kayode Ezuola, political scientist, associate professor, Institute of African and Diaspora Studies at the University of Lagos. A fine morning to you, Kayode. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Yuri, and good morning, everybody.
Yes. In studio, we have Dr. Sylvester Enome, who is a former director of education at Lagos State Education District 5, and he's an education management consultant.
My pleasure.
Indeed.
Good morning.
All right, then. So he's just finished saying that any way you look at it, it's a laudable idea. It's a first for us, and when you just look at it, but the question I had asked him was that, was he a bit concerned about that area of it that we hear from other climes where people happily take the loan, but then when they finish their education, they often have been moaning that the student loan, my student loan, particularly America, they never fail to mention the fact that this student loan thing is like an albatross. But without prejudice to that, I wonder what you think, Kayode, about the imminent launch of this scheme.
Yeah, anything loan, I think that's just peculiar to human behavior. When you are getting it, you are excited because it comes like free money. But at the end, when you have to pay back, you begin to feel the pain, you know. And so that is the story all over the world. It then can only be better for one society to the other, as it were. Okay? Now, I think a good way to start is also join my colleague in the studio to applaud the current administration on the issue of student loan. I mean, that is not to say this is what Nigerians deserve in terms of being the best. But the attempt to do it signifies the intention of the administration. You remember that in most cases, when we have struggle, maybe at the level of ASU or SANU or other unions in Nigeria, one of the major accusations against the government and government officials is that these folks attended schools almost either on bursary or on loan. And then when they finished and they now became the political elite, they closed the door against the children of the masses, who they also were as at that time. You know, I think one should commend this administration for responding to that over the years. No government has done it in the contemporary period of Nigeria. So on that note, the commendation is given. However, Yori, my opinion on this particular one is that it is not good enough. It is not good enough for the Nigerian people and the situation of it as at this time. But one has to commend it that and be optimistic that the president someday, and of course the committee that will work within the system, will recommend what is commensurate with the social and economic realities
because
on this.
Okay, because you know, Kayode, that necessarily I would have to ask you, what are the areas of apprehension you have when, admittedly, commending the initiative, saying it, however, there's the Oliver Twist aspect to it on behalf of the beneficiaries, that it's not good enough. What exactly did you mean?
Thank you. It is not Oliver Twist. Oliver Twist is always wanting more. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is measuring the loan offer with the social and economic reality of Nigeria at today. I mean, when you have a loan as student, in most cases, you think about paying your hostel rent. In most cases, think about buying something like laptop computer, which is quite mandatory for your productivity in your academic work. You talk about, you know, purchase of data, you talk about purchase of textbooks, and then feeding, because if you don't have feeding in all this, there is basically no way you'll be able to utilize that. Given the Nigerian of today, I mean Nigeria of today, you will agree with me that for a year, 500,000 cannot make anybody very excited in terms of loan that you get from the government. But as I said, a good start. But the problem I see is that in most cases, our government work from answers to questions instead of the other way around. If I were Mr. President, I probably would have set up a committee of stakeholders, including the unions in all the universities, not just academic, in unions in all the polytechnics, colleges of education, perhaps secondary schools, and let them judge or converse from informed opinion and obtainable data, present to Mr. President what can, at least in the average, sustain an average student who is getting that from the university. I feel very strongly that if that approach had been adopted, this figure wouldn't have been. Perhaps it could be lesser, but I mean, it wouldn't have been what it is. This is what I quite recommend always that the government should do.
Okay.
You have the universities, you have the institutions, you fund research in these places, but you don't make use of the productivity of this research. People have done a lot of work in all these things.
Okay.
But I think for future, government needs to do better by engaging people that in a more beneficial way.
Fine. As you were speaking, as you were speaking, I just looked back and I noted that actually a special committee to oversee the Education Loan Fund held its inaugural meeting. So one was set up and held its inaugural meeting in readiness for the program rollout at the time scheduled for the 26th of February 2024. The meeting was actually chaired by the governor of Central Bank, Olayemi Cardoso. So yes, one was set up, but I don't think it really negates anything that you said, that this is the way to go. You want a body of experts. There were all sorts of members of the committee. It was an 11-member committee. It comprises the chairman, representatives of the ministries, departments, and agencies as stipulated in the Students' Loan Access to Higher Education Act of 2023. So there were some people in there. So I'll come back to you, but in the meantime, yes, that point that has been noted there, that, look, Kade was talking about stakeholders. We hear members of that committee, in addition to the representatives of ministries, departments, and agencies, as stipulated by the Students' Loan Access to Higher Education Act 2023, included also the secretary to NEFUND. But he was speaking about, and the statutory chair of that committee is the chairman of Central Bank, yes, but he was speaking about stakeholders, specialists.
Yeah, I really align with him, but I differ a little.
Okay.
You see, this aspect of a student loan fund, this is the first time it's going to happen in Nigeria.
At all.
In short, I must thank the federal government for the initiative.
Mm-hmm.
You see, my people have a saying that if you don't sit before you stand, you will fall. There's normally stages, step by step. You will first sit down as a little baby, then you crawl, then you stand, and then you start moving. With the Nigerian situation, I definitely know that this student loan will work. You see, majority of the students are outside. No money to go back to school. There are a lot of indices. There are a lot of terms and conditions that when the students have to fulfill these things, they may not deviate. For example, if you have a parent that is receiving income above 500,000, mm-hmm, you have a restriction. In this case, it's meant for the poor.
Okay.
It's meant for the poor.
Okay.
I will tell you one thing. The poor in the society, they know their limitations.
All right.
They know their limitations. It's an opportunity for them to excel. Access to higher education. So many people you see learning carpentry, this and this, they would have loved to be in school, but no money. If they have to access that 500,000 loan,
for example,
it will give them an accommodation, a little one that will sustain them. They'll be able to use some for their textbooks. Look, that
$500,000 naira is, yes, not to be sneezed at, is what you are saying.
Yes.
Whereas I take, Kaode's point that, look, there are things like today that have become almost mandatory, including computers, for example, laptops and all of that.
But this is not food for the boys. I'm telling you. You see, in the society, we have the poor. We equally have the poorest of the poor.
That's right.
And if we have the poor and the poorest of the poor, mm-hmm, and these people are able to access 500,000 naira.
Okay.
Look, there are poor people that have not ever seen 100,000 naira in their accounts.
I think your point is taken. Yeah.
So they are going to hold it jealously. They are going to guide this student jealously, and they will make sure it is meant for what the loan is meant for. The rich could decide to throw 500,000 naira, 1 million on their children. But the parents of the poor will say, look, I beg you,
Yes.
you are going to this school. This is this money. Please use it wisely. Don't forget that before the loan is given, guarantor is equally there. Who will provide his passport, the means of livelihood,
Also,
where you work, and a letter of employment,
copious
of engagement.
verification.
So before the committee chairman will have to approve.
The point that you're making, is it not, is that, whereas the loan is the first time, it's commendable, both you and Isuala have said so. But I think the implication here is that not every student necessarily needs to apply for it.
It's for all Nigerian students.
It is. It is their right.
But there will be a situation where those from the rich home, the wealthy sons and daughters, may not need it.
May not need it.
They will just say that we don't need it. Voluntarily, they will not apply. It will not give rooms for more of the poor people to put into it.
Kayode, could I come back to you? Do you want to add to that, or do you just, concur, as it were?
Well, I actually struggled very seriously to see where my colleague differs from me.
Okay, Sylvester.
We are saying basically the same thing. He commended the government.
Yes.
I said it could be better. He also agreed, obviously indirectly, that this is the first time we are learning to sit now. Starting. Later we can stand and we later walk. But the very point that I've made is that could have been something much better if stakeholders had been engaged.
Okay.
Yorubas have a proverb, only akin faori, leyin olori. You don't give someone a haircut
in his absence.
In the person's absence. The stakeholders are the students themselves, their teachers, the officers, and the administration officers across these universities, colleges of education, monotechnics, polytechnics, and what have you. If they had been engaged, I can assure you, it's just common sense. The result will have been much better than what we have now.
Okay.
So the thing is, it can be better.
Yeah.
That's one. Number two, I read somewhere, perhaps 1 month ago, where it was alluded to the president that the loan scheme will also include entrepreneurs. Apprenticeships.
That's right. That's right. Vocational.
Vocational.
Yes.
Vocational,
It should be extended.
I studied the document of the law. It wasn't original. That inclusion probably was an afterthought. Now, if the stakeholders have been engaged, informed researchers and professors on that committee, of course, including experts as my brother here, who is an administrator in educational profile, will have reminded those on the committee that today, around the world, all over the world, university education is being, pure academic education is being funded on a low level. Yes. Many people are now agitating for more funding for vocational education. That could have been included in first. I give you an example. In Netherlands, as we speak today, there is a political comatose. The person who eventually won election to be, to merge with another candidate to form a government in Netherlands, couldn't do that because the main campaign on which the person won election was reduction of funding in pure academic education and diversion of such to vocational education. So you see, that's just one typical example to show you that things happen around the world. And I'm saying that intellectuals are the people who study these things. They do not only study, they document as a product, as products of their research works. Now, when you want to do something like this in the future, Yori, I'm pointing at the future now so that we can have much better policies. You don't set up a committee to implement a policy without setting up a committee of experts to formulate that policy. Okay? If we want to be a better nation, we should take this criticism, in good faith so that we can have a better society. Yori, elsewhere around the world, even the minimum wage we are talking about, corpus allowance and the student loan, there is a scientific way of arriving at them. Inflation is the first thing. Cost of housing averagely is another thing. Cost of feeding averagely that, and cost of computer. So you need to look at the structure of the society and you say, this is realistic. The committee that is standing will increase or recommend increase or reduction in these things by themselves without you setting up anything. So I'm saying that we have to be proactive, we have to be systematic in formulating public policies so that we can have it in a very good way and not the one that will somersault. So in summary, the president has done well. I gave that commendation, at least the first person to respond to that accusation of those political elites who went to school almost free of charge or on loan or bursary, now got there and they blocked the road for others. Posterity will judge the president for taking that initiative. But I'm saying it should have included the stakeholder, including the director of education, lecturer, instructor,
including the former director of education.
And the students themselves should have been part of it. We'll have a better.
Okay. Now, thank you very much, Akade. Just before we go on break, Mr. George, you've been waiting to join us in Lagos. Thank you for your patience. Go ahead now, please.
Good morning. Good morning, Theory.
Good
morning to the two guests.
Yes.
Theory, as far as I'm concerned, this student loan scheme is a step in the right direction. Let me tell you, I have a friend that earns 80,000 naira a month. His two sons last year, gained admission to Unilag. Very brilliant children. He could only sponsor one. The other one is still waiting at home. So if he had 500,000 naira as a loan, you can imagine those two children would have been there at the same time.
I see.
I am opposed to the pressure being put by private universities to also extend it to them. How can you have parents that are paying 3 million for you in a university? They have 3 million to pay for you in a university. The one that doesn't have 500,000, government is giving him loan, and you say it should also be extended to you. The government should just overlook that one. They don't deserve it.
Who are you speaking of?
Immediately this pronouncement was made initially. I
Okay.
saw the president of ASU on television opposing the scheme from day one, that his reason was that the students will not pay back. How can ASU be crying more than the bereaved? The government that wants to grant the loan has not expressed any worries about repayment. You are saying that because of repayment, it should not be given to the students.
All right.
How do you think like that?
Okay.
And ASU, this is the same ASU that they do not agree with anything the government does. Not only this government, but previous government. President Jonathan gave them 200 billion naira for resuscitation of universities. This ASU has never accounted for 1 naira out of it.
Okay, Mr. George, we've got to go on a break now, but thank you very much for calling in. We'll continue as soon as we get back from break. Please stay with us.
Every weekday on Business Nigeria, we uncover the secrets of the financial world,
breaking down intricate economic and financial matters.
We analyze the stock market, shares, bonds,
in the thrilling world of cryptocurrencies.
We unveil and analyze complex policies of the CBN and other government parastatals as they affect your everyday life, keeping you a step ahead every time.
Okay, this is edible. Facts matter. Our team dives deep to separate fact from popular opinion.
We simplify complex government policies as it impacts your everyday life, helping you navigate the ever-changing financial landscape.
Watch Business Nigeria every weekday at 2 p.m. only on TVC News. First with breaking news.
Welcome back, and we're looking at the subject matter of the president's scheduled to launch the student loans scheme on Thursday, either then or, because of statements about it being fine-tuned, very shortly thereafter. But everybody is working towards that Thursday. We see how that goes. Our guests are, educational management consultant, Dr. Sylvester Enomen. He's a former director of education in the Lagos State Education District 5, and Kade Esuola, political scientist and associate professor, Institute of African and Diaspora Studies of the University of Lagos. Thank you, gentlemen, for staying on the program.
Thank you.
Coming back to you, Dr. Enomen. Okay, that viewer brought up the matter about why are private university people also now casting an eye in that direction, that he didn't see what the case was. And in commenting on that, if you will, I also want you to comment on Nigerian students outside the country have also said that they should be included. Yes. They should be included in this, that anything that's going on there, we are equally as Nigerian as the rest of you back home. Yeah. Your comments.
Thank you very much. You see, let me take you from the students outside the country. I think it's a community in UK. Mm-hmm. They have already said that they are really interested, and they appeal to the president to bring them in so that they can benefit from that. You see, in UK, for example, you school and you work. So you still have a way of getting little thing. In Nigeria here, the students are left for themselves, by themselves, and with themselves. There is no help from anywhere. It's either their parents bring for them or nothing. Most of the students you see today in higher institution, they close from lecture and rush to go and do one manual job or the other to sustain themselves. So there is nothing bad because they are Nigerians anyway. But
that is the Nigerians who are
in diaspora
asking to be included.
Asking to be included. But I just wish let us start here first, mm-hmm. and then graduate later. On the aspect of Mr. George calling to say that some private universities, they want to be joined. Oh, well, there is always freedom of agitation, freedom of you to say you need this, you need. Let me take education courses, for example. In most private universities, they don't offer education courses because it's not lucrative. They said it's not lucrative to them. But you see them, public administration, banking and finance, this, where people will come in and so on and so forth. And because they regard education courses as something that maybe the children of the poor people would like to, and it's no longer so. When you are in any aspect of education, you are there. Mm. Like what I told somebody is, I said, teaching is no longer just teaching, it's teaching and learning. Those days they will say, let me use teaching as a stepping stone to get other job. No, it's not so. When you are in teaching now, you are there, body, spirit, and soul. Because you cannot give what you don't have. That is why the government, especially Lagos State government, they are laying emphasis on employment of qualified teachers. Okay. NC, BEd, BSc Ed, Qualified teachers, not somebody just come, you jump into teaching, when you discover you've gotten another job somewhere, you jump out.
Okay.
Because the interest is not there.
It has to be a vocation. In fact,
Yes.
there's a sense in which you might be, at least I am reading from what you're saying, that a teacher of today actually has to be a researcher.
Yes.
You know, very much. And
definitely.
And that is one thing, that is what Kade Suola
no, I saw his argument about the stakeholders. Yes. Yeah, fine. But I must tell you, as a director of education, then former director, I was a principal of 3 secondary schools in Lagos State here. I know what those children are feeling.
Okay.
I have to use my educational knowledge to really assist some of them. You get to a school where a whole day, the student must have not eaten at all before coming to school. And during learning, the attention is not there because of the poor background. Please, no matter how they look at it, this student loan fund.
Yes. Although
I really appreciate it.
Indeed, we do.
You will see how it's going to change students' behavior.
In fact, I can imagine. But you were speaking about your secondary school pupils.
Yes.
But this one concerns
I am aware of that.
And vocational.
Yes.
Kade, coming back to you, your thoughts on the idea of private university students also wanting in on this, and Nigerian students abroad, diaspora students, also looking for an in on this as well.
I mean, in politics, and I see politics in its very broad way, the activities of man towards getting value from society. Defined that way, we're all engaged in politics at some level. So those from the private universities who want to be part of the share, and those in UK who also want to be part of the share, are doing what is politically expected of a human being or of Nigerians that they should be, if they are, I don't know. So they have the right to agitate, but government has made it clear that the loan is for the poorest of the poorest in the society. Just to borrow doctors' phrase, the poorest of the, not just the poor, the poorest of the poor. As I reflect, the example was given of a friend whose salary is 80,000 naira. And when you do 80,000 naira, it is more than 500,000, isn't it?
Yes.
Isn't it? I struggle seriously to see anyone in Nigerian formal employment setting today, especially the public sector, whose total package in a year is below 500. I've raised this before. I struggle to see it. It's difficult for me to see somebody who is formally employed by the public, whose salary is not up to 500. I struggle to get such. That interprets that almost 98% of any civil servant or public servant is already shut out of the loan scheme for their children. If that figure by the presidency is what we know about. So the question is, who will then be the beneficiaries of the loan? Are these people restricted to privately owned organizations like private schools who still pay 12,000, 13,000, or the artisans, that's the parents now of the children,
yes,
who put together, the income may not be up to 500. How do you even measure the incomes of these people who are likely to be artisans on the street? How documented are they? And how will they have access to those who will stand as guarantors for them? And at the end of the day, how easy or otherwise will it be for the committee that is monitoring the loan to trace and ensure repayment at the end of the day? For me, Yori, that's one of the things I was talking about in terms of engaging stakeholders. You see, a reference was made to ASHU by a caller for going against the loan scheme. ASU did not go against the loan scheme, not at all. I mean, I am a member of ASU, a strong one at that, so I can provide that information. What ASU was saying is similar to what I'm saying. The methodology of arriving at the loan was problematic. And, you know, intellectuals are trained not to sell emotion, you know. They are trained to look at issues dispassionately and point out the good and the bad, as it were. So if the stakeholders, appropriate stakeholders, have been involved, there could have been serious cross-interrogation and re-interrogation of all these issues to reflect the realities of the day. So which I kept commending, because this president has done well.
That's right.
Beyond others. But the methodology, I am afraid, is not likely to make us arrive at the satisfaction of the society. Who today, do you know, Yori, whose salary in a year is below 500,000 in the public sector or in TVC where you work? Maybe I don't understand how it works. Who do you know? Who can you point?
As you say, one will be hard-pressed to find, which goes back to what you were saying, Sylvester, that the fund is really meant for the, if you want, the lower, the poorest of the poor. Let them not be cut out as a result. Yeah, I think that point has been made, and it goes back to, as I said, the expected date of takeoff is going to be on Thursday. That's what has been stated. But if refinements are still being applied, it might well be somewhere in the region of what we are talking about. Yes. You know, what we still have, according to Ajuri Ngelale, our chief Ajuri Ngelale, spokesman to the president, he has said that Thursday. Now, when you look at the fund itself that these people will access, I am reading, when you look at the Act, the fund, according to the Act, is to be funded from multiple streams and will engage in other productive activities. It will be funded through donations, gifts, grants, endowments, and revenue accruing to the fund from any other source. And this is according to the Act. That should keep the fund going, right? Yes, yes. You see, in short, a lot of money will come in. A lot of money. Let's look at TED Fund. That's exactly how they generated their money. Their income came from donations, grants, this, that. Fine. You see, like, definitely, Dr. Kayode just raised a very salient point. One important point about 90-something% of the workers might be shut out. But I want to assure him one thing, that it is the white man that made the pencil that equally made the eraser. So the white man that made the pencil made the eraser. And definitely the government must have been informed about this. Or as we speak, they will be getting to hear that if 500,000 this died, what happened to the civil servants on level 7 and above? So I think I am very sure, and I'm confident about this loan scheme, that they will fine-tune so many things and it will work. Indeed. And this is where, and this is what I said from the very beginning. Yes, he said that commendable as it is. Yes. The stakeholder, yeah, this is a very good point. This is what Kayode also said about the penchant of sometimes working from the answer to the question, as opposed to being the other way around. What is the question? Now let's profess some answers and see how well those answers will be. You see at times policymakers, policy formulation, policy implementation, and policy evaluation, they are different things entirely. It is one thing for you to formulate policy, and it is another thing for the implementers to put it in appropriate quarters before the evaluation. With this formulation of these acts, access to higher education, the implementation, by the grace of God, is going to work. Because, you see, as I always say, I never benefited from any of this scheme also, though I'm an ex-director, this and that. Yeah,
But I knew there was a time in a former Bender state. I'm from Edo State. There was a time Professor Ambrosali introduced something that looked similar to this. He allowed us to work, school, and we were being paid. That was, we are talking about 1980, 81, 82. Some of us were teaching in primary schools and the rest. Some were working, but when we got back to school, when we gained admission, he still allowed that salary to continue. Okay. And that was one of the reasons why you see most of the professors today in Edo and Delta, even the nearest, the closest to it, they can beat their chest to say, look, Professor Ambrosali, okay, God bless you.
Let me apologize to Mazi Okorafor, who has been muted for quite a while. This is your area, Mazi Okorafor. Thank you very much, sir. Go ahead now, please.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Good morning, my brother. Thank God that the Thursday is the D-Day for the launching of that loan scheme. Now, the final year students, the final year undergraduates, or the first year, I think there is need for the government to look into that issue of that loan. Who are the beneficiaries? Because if you look at the final year students, many of them, before they start writing their project, they have some issues in terms of moving out, either money or something like that. But the first year student, even if you give the first year student, what is the next level in terms of completing his or her own course? So government should look at that issue of final year undergraduates and first year undergraduates. Now, the bottleneck I'm looking at issue, the payment method, government has to look into it. That 3 years, to me, I would suggest 5 years. Reason. By the time you finish your NYC, you enter the labor market. When you enter the labor market, you'll be searching for a job. Maybe you have a skill. If you try to get something established, you see, 2 years have already gone. So government should look at the years of payment. And it's need to, in as much as federal government is embarking on this loan scheme for all Nigerians, the state government should try as much as possible and bring back the bursary allowances and scholarships. It's very, very important. Because if you add this loan scheme from the federal government and bring the bursary allowances and scholarships to undergraduates, I bet you, many Nigerian students will not complain. Many Nigerian students will not go into all this issue. Because statistics have shown that what Nigerian is facing today, when you see many Nigerian undergraduates going to this Yahoo, they are looking for how to meet up. That is why you see 70% of them that are inside that Yahoo is because of money to meet up, etc. Although many of them, they have high tech. You see undergraduate, you want to live like a director general of an agency. That is the problem. Many of them go into this Yahoo, which is very, very bad for them. I think I will advise the state government to go back to the basics, bring back bursary allowances and scholarships.
Okay.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, our guest.
Thank
Good
you.
morning, Mazu Craft.
Thank you very much. Kade, I think, let me just, okay. I think for the moment, we've lost Dr. Kayode Esrola, who is our other guest, but happily we have Dr. Sylvester Enomen, and we can get Kayode back. I saw when Mazi Okorafor was, making his suggestions, there was it seemed to me you were nodding approval, yes, for his line of thought. Yes. This would further cushion those students.
Yeah, you see, Okorafor just hit a point which made me to nod my head. This aspect of state government.
Yes.
You see, nowadays people look just, instead of looking at some levels, they just look straight to federal government. There are scholarship boards those days, state scholarship boards, bursary. You see, people are now silent about that, except some very few states, like Lagos State, for example. They are even adding more money to what they are putting into scholarship before. You see, if you want to blame the head of a home, don't forget to look at the other people around, what actually they have contributed. So the federal government is trying to bring in this student loan.
Mm-hmm.
What is going to be the contribution of the states?
That's him.
And we are forgetting one thing, that the federal government always share money to the local government and the state government. But it seems there is a kind of veil that covers those people, and everybody are pointing straight to the federal government.
Not
without looking
for them.
Like
to,
as I
to,
told,
to make to
yes,
account. I beg your pardon, sir.
Okay, sir.
Let me add Fidel, who has joined us from Owerri. Good morning, Fidel. I hope we haven't lost you too. Good morning, Fidel.
Relax. Yes.
Okay. Good morning. Go ahead now, please. You're on.
I want to suggest that the federal government should relax the conditions and criteria for this loan. For instance, if they insist on 500,000 naira per annum and above, it means that most of the children will not get it. Let them relax it and make it in such a way that even the downtrodden in the society who have children, that their children can benefit. But what matters more is monitoring, making sure that the downtrodden, the indigent students will definitely get this loan. The situation where you leave it open and you don't monitor effectively, it means that children of the rich can still hijack it, and the aim will be defeated. Thank you and God bless you. I'm Fidel Onyeleke.
Thank you very much, Mr. Onyeleke, for calling in. Okay, we're happy to have Kayode Esuola back. That is how it goes with these digital things. But we were talking about, in fact, the point at which you had just...
The state government.
Yes, yes. So, Kayode, somebody had suggested that, look, state governments also have a part in all of this. A caller from Owerri had said that, was it the caller from Owerri? Was it Mazi?
Yes, Okorafo.
Yes, who had said that, what happened to the bursary awards and the scholarships of yore? That those things need to be brought back. I can also see you nodding in agreement. Would you like to talk about that very briefly? We just have about 1 or 2 more minutes.
Discuss it before it became policy. There could have been bursary, there could have been all sorts of things, including those ones that will be offered by the university. It should have been holistic. As I speak with you, the University of Lagos has a program that's called Work Study Program, similar to what they have abroad. And your income, even as study student, you arrange your timetable goes. You understand? So I think the suggestion from the person referring to that this thing, for it to work, needs to be more robust. And exactly the position of ASU. Now look, that thing should have been more systematic, should have been more immersed in the system in such a way that if you don't get it, you get a bursary. If you don't get bursary, you get work study, you get 5 or 6 options will have been made available. Because I don't also see federal government alone catering for the number of students that are in almost 250 universities in Nigeria, let alone the polytechnics and colleges of education.
Well,
so I think that is done. For future, the scheme has to expand. It has to be all inclusive. It has to be overviewed and reviewed for better amenability to the socio-political realities in our country.
Thank you very much, Kayode. Kayode Esuola, political scientist, associate professor, Institute of African and Diaspora Studies at the University of Lagos. And of course, thank you to Dr. Sylvester Enomen, former director, education, Lagos State Education District 5, and educational management consultant. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Your expertise and your insights.
Thank you. I'm grateful.
With us.
Thank you.
Indeed. So that's our program. We're going to have to leave it there. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folari. Bye for now.
The
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Today, there are many complex, boring, expensive, and useless exercise machines in the market. Or you pay over 400,000 naira a year for gym membership and never go. ShopX TV is proud to introduce Total Crunch Evolution, the compact, versatile fitness solution that is perfect for you. With Total Crunch, you get a complete fitness workout in one machine. Say goodbye to ineffective and complicated exercise machines. Now, you have the power to transform your fitness journey and get the body you have always wanted right in the comfort of your own home. Total Crunch is the efficient and effective way to build muscle, tone and tighten your legs, shape your back and pectorals, while strengthening your core and defining your abs. Now that's totally effective to get the body you want. With Total Crunch, your whole body works out at the same time. Only Total Crunch can put your whole body in motion as you burn calories and lose weight. Just one fitness routine a week will achieve serious results in 4 weeks.
Total Crunch Evolution has enhanced the way I work out and the results I achieve. It's not just a fitness equipment, it's a life changer. This versatile, time-saving machine is perfect for anyone looking to lose weight or stay in shape. Trust me, this is a game changer you've been waiting for.
With my busy schedule, finding time to work out and stay in shape has always been a challenge until I discovered the Total Crunch Evolution. It's a lifesaver.
Traditional exercise equipment is large, complex, takes up so much space in your home, and you could be paying up to 400,000 naira for annual gym fees. Get the Total Crunch Evolution, the 2-in-1 fitness solution to save the cost and transform your body from the convenience of your home. Similar equipment costs 300,000 naira, but you can get the Total Crunch Evolution for not 300,000 naira, not even 200,000 naira. Order right now and get your Total Crunch Evolution for just 179,950 naira only. And that's not all. You can get our Total Crunch Evolution in 2 easy payments of 89,975 naira. That's right. Pay twice to get your Total Crunch. And remember, if you order now, you get the Total Crunch Evolution delivered to you for free anywhere you are in Nigeria. And it comes with a ShopX 30-day money-back guarantee. Call the number on your screen now or scan the code to place your order now. But hurry, limited stock available. The proceeding is a paid presentation brought to you by ShopX TV.
The Inspector General of Police has met with senior officers to review the state of security.
We are continuing our coverage of the arrest of Godwin Emefiele.
The Senate has summoned the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria to properly brief the Senate regarding the state of the economy.
President Bola Tinubu has announced the total removal of fuel subsidy.
The fresh subsidy is gone. What I will never take is threat.
Let's now bring you more developments from Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, where an explosion has taken place. Tell us about this incident.
TVC News. First with breaking news.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw ether material slabbed, stroked, and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty, erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
and thanks for joining us on TVC News at noon. The Senate has inaugurated a 17-member panel to probe the 30 trillion naira ways and means advances from the Central Bank of Nigeria under former President Buhari-led administration. The Senator Issa Jibrin-led panel was inaugurated by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio. National Assembly correspondent Jesu Adeoye reports.
Better ways to ensure food security is of topmost concern for Nigerian legislators as they get set to unravel the true circumstances and factors that has pulled the country into the current prevailing economic hardship. The lawmakers also suspect the ways and means advances approved for the federal government by the CBN under the Buhari-led administration could have been a conduit pipe used to fritter away the country's scarce resources, as questions on the true details of the loan advances have been left unanswered. Consequently, the Senate is launching a probe that will be superintended by a 17-member panel led by Senator Issa Jibrin to uncover the mysteries surrounding the 30 trillion naira ways and means advances.
I implore you to approach your responsibilities with the utmost sense of patriotism, professionalism, and integrity. Your scrutiny or investigation demands impartiality and fairness.
The President of the Senate emphasizes on the need for the investigative panel to succeed as he calls for the cooperation and collaboration of all relevant stakeholders to assist the committee with all necessary information it may need to carry on this critical assignment. Chairman of the 17-member committee insists that no detail will be left unchecked as the lawmakers commit to doing a thorough job.
The implication of this is that Nigerians are waiting for the result of this investigation. I want to assure you that we are going to carry out this assignment expeditiously, but without any form of compromise.
Nigeria's economic team also attended the inauguration to demonstrate the federal government's readiness to offer support by any means necessary. The ad hoc committee has 6 weeks to investigate the 30 trillion naira ways and means and 10 trillion naira spent on the Anchor Borrowers program, among other intervention programs. Jesu Adeoye, TVC News, Abuja.
Staying in the National Assembly, Chairman of the Northern Senators Forum says he's ready to bear the consequences of an earlier statement that has stirred controversy regarding Nigeria's national budget. This comes as the Northern Senators Forum dissociated itself from Senator Abdul Ningi's allegation of budget padding, describing it as his personal opinion.
There has been a recurring dismal.
All hell was let loose following an earlier statement by Senator Abdul Ningi, representing Bauchi Central, alleging an unexplained 3.7 trillion naira budget padding in the 2024 national budget. This statement had unsettled many members of the Senate who found the claims to be misleading and putting the legislative arm of government in bad light. The Senate had resolved to address the matter at its next legislative sitting on Tuesday, but an impatient Senator Ningi has decided to set the record straight, damning all consequences. He says his claims are hinged solidly on a fact-finding research carried out by a group of consultants.
At no time did I say Bola Ahmed Tinubu is implementing two budgets. There was no time. At no time.
Meanwhile, the Northern Senators Forum, which has Senator Ningi as its chairman, has denied all claims of the lawmaker. They say it is his personal opinion and not the position of the Northern Senators. A lawmaker from Ondo South Senatorial District, Jimo Ibrahim, has also urged the federal government to charge Senator Ningi to court for criminal misinformation and breach of peace in the National Assembly and the country by extension.
So my information to you today is that 1, it is not true that we have 2 appropriations. 2, Senator Ningi must be charged to court for conduct likely going to cause breach of peace.
The presidency had on Sunday described as false a claim by Senator Ningi that the federal government is operating 2 versions of the 2024 budget. All attention now shifts to Tuesday's plenary session, where Senator Ningi's fate will be decided by his colleagues.
Away from that, President Bola Tinubu has visited the former military President General Ibrahim Babangida, where they both discussed national issues. President Tinubu left the venue of the inauguration of the Agric Mechanization Revolution project executed by Governor Umaru Bago in Minna, the Niger State capital. The president also visited former head of state Abdul Salami Abubakar at his residence in Minna. Governor of Niger State Umaru Bago, Governor of Lagos Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and the Governor of Kwara State Abdurrahman Abdulrazak joined President Tinubu on the visit. Before visiting the two former leaders, President Tinubu inaugurated a multi-billion naira investment in agriculture by the Niger State government. For President Tinubu, his administration is focused on re-engineering finances it's a time for Nigeria to change the narrative. Chenemi Bameye reports.
President Tinubu arrived at the Minna International Airport to a rousing welcome. The airport has now been renamed the Bola Ahmed Tinubu International Airport. After being redundant for 11 years, Governor Umaru Bago remodeled the airport, which is now designated as a cargo airport. The goal is to provide efficient transportation for off-takers, investing in the multi-billion naira agric mechanization project in Niger State. The president is here to flag off the project with 300 tractors on ground, irrigation systems, power tillers. President Tinubu promised that his administration is poised to harness the farming population of Nigeria and improve livestock production to make the country self-sufficient.
We must care for people. We must rearrange our farming population to enhance the irrigation and to equally partner with you to banish hunger. Provide us the land. I, as the president, I am committed to giving you in 2-3 weeks' time a comprehensive program that will solve this problem. It is necessary for me to support you.
Governor Umaru Bago, who leads this ambitious project of cultivating 1 million hectares of land in 4 years, is driven by the optimism that the state will provide sufficient food to feed the country in the coming years.
Niger State is the host to the largest congregation of cattle in Africa. As such, we want to use this opportunity of this free zone to make sure we make it a fruition. In tandem with the federal government infrastructure initiative, the state government has prioritized agricultural development as a catalyst for economic growth and poverty alleviation in the state.
Some governors from the southwest and north central states were in attendance.
Bago and I, specifically, and others too are working, have signed, an agreement that Bago being the biggest state in the country, me being the smallest state in the country, and has the largest population, we are tied together in the hip, because whatever he produces, we must feed the people in Lagos.
President Tinubu promised to continually partner with subnational governments to eliminate hunger and ensure food